Hi, how are you doing? Hope you are well and safe and having a great day. I'm having a great day. Apart from the heat, I'm absolutely melting. It's 11 o'clock. I've been painting since 8:30 and it's just so hot in here. Having said that, I've really had a lot of fun. I've been painting in Krita and I produced this little watercolour. And what I want to show you today is how to use transparent layers in your watercolour paintings to help you mask out areas similar to the same way you would in possibly Rebel. So let's get straight into the video. Well, I said I was going to be painting in Krita, so let's open up Krita. Here it is down here. And this would be your opening screen. And I'm going to choose new file. This is a brand new painting. But I don't want to set up sizes or anything from the custom document. I'm going to go down here, the fourth one down in my list, to texture templates. And I created a set of or I put together a set of templates. I click on that for traditional artists. So we've got oil painting, pastel texture paper and watercolor paper. I'm doing a watercolor, so I want the watercolor paper, and I'm going to use that template. Now I'm going to put a link in the description below where you can get this template from, the watercolor template, and that will have links in the description to the other templates as well if you want to get them all. And basically it tells you how to set them up, and it also links to the original designer Roman Miranda's introduction, which goes into great detail about how to use this layer stack, because when you create this textured paper and you see it's a lovely texture on there, creates all of these layers, and all you really need to know is you can paint your sketch here, or you can do an undercolor in this one. I usually use this one for a sketch. And also if we go down right at the bottom and press F3 on the keypad, I can change the color of the paper. The only reason I'll probably do that would be to make a sort of an off-white paper, because sometimes you do get watercolor paper that's off-white, so maybe something like that. But that's as far as I would go with a watercolor. Pastel one's very different. I like to use really vibrant, bright colors, but for the watercolor, that would be it. And then don't forget to click back in your undercolor or paint sketch layer. And I'm going to use the watercolor brushes that come or ship with Krita. So these are all free brushes, so there's no cost here. These textured papers are free as well, so no outlay whatsoever. Basically, if I go to all brushes, I went down here and selected each of the watercolor brushes. I think that's one, and I right clicked on it and I assigned it to a tag, and I created, actually I think they'll put in their own watercolor tag. I think when you install them it creates a tag for watercolor, but if not, you can create your own just by right clicking on the brush and adding it to a tag. But when I go to my watercolor, you will see I've also added an eraser and a pencil, so I'm not hopping all over the place to find my brushes. I've got all the watercolor brushes there, and I am going to be painting this gentle little landscape today. So I'm not using the inline reference image. I've just got my image on a different computer, or a different, sorry, not a different computer, a different screen. Whoops. Let's change the color. Control Z to delete that. And I did a search on Pixabay for this image, and all I searched for was cottage garden. But again, I will put a link in the description below. Let's get some lines in there for perspective. exaggerating that curve a bit. It goes down more than that. That's it. Once again, when I start talking, I lose concentration very quickly. When I do watercolors, I love to be really loose with the sketching. That's when I do anything else, to be honest. That's a really steep perspective line going off there. This is the hardest bit, just getting this roof in, I think. Once we've done that, it's going to be fairly straightforward. Thanks for all the comments, everybody, saying that you like the new format with longer videos. Where I spend more time discussing things and you know, instead of sort of rushing and speeding things up. So I'm going to continue in that vein, I think. I do like to scribble. Link in the description for this picture as well, if I haven't already said that. I think this roof line comes quite a bit lower there, doesn't it? I'm working on a Wacom Cintiq, so I'm just flip the stylus over there to. That's a unique design on these windows. I can imagine them filling up with water. Probably it's not in a location gets a lot of rain. I don't think that would work in the UK too well. Having said that, it is absolutely baking hot today. It's way too hot. I hate it. I hate the sun. I really do. You know what I love? I love the rain. I love it when it rains. Rain works for me. I like, you know, when it rains, all those boring rooftops become shiny and wet and reflect the light, and all of a sudden they become interesting and worth painting. But you get the hot weather and there's not. It's just baking hot and mithered. I much prefer the colder climates. But I've done recently did a DNA test to find out a little bit more about my heritage, and I am 30% Viking. I like to say Viking, but it's in the DNA test. It says, you know, from sort of Norway, Scandinavia, and those places. So it is cold in those countries, isn't it? Well, colder than the UK, and so I believe that's it. I think that's why I like the cold weather, because in actual fact, I've got Viking heritage. 30%. That's a lot, isn't it? This window is kind of needs to come across a bit, I think. Just tweak that a little bit. Not quite the same as the photo, but it doesn't matter, does it? Because, you know, if I sort of step, if I was in the scene and stepped to my left foot, everything would change. Things wouldn't line up the same, so I'm not too precious about that. Yeah, I could spend hours doing it, but it's not architecture. It's not an architectural painting. It's just an impression. So I don't want to spend that much time. Move that a bit. Come a bit. I've got that a bit high, haven't I? Let's just shrink this down a little bit. Reduce the height. That's it. I was just looking at the shadows on the photo and realised that I'd kind of got the windows a little bit on the eye side. Nice little window box there. Little red flowers in. And what this video is going to be about, I know it's a watercolour, but I'm going to use masks to emulate. So if you own Rebelle and you'd bought Rebelle, you know you've got like a paint mask or a masking film that you can apply, and you can do a similar thing in here. I think that'll do. I can put these flowers in, I suppose, but I might just do that. Yeah, a bit like a masking fluid. So that's what I am intending to do. So that's my undercolour done. So I'm now going to click on the paint sketch here, and I am going to choose this brush, which is called Water Sea Spread Wide Area. So I'm just going to start putting in local colour over the whole of the canvas. When I used to teach watercolour painting, I used to teach at a community college to teach adults, using the square bracket keys to change the size of my brush. One of the fears that people would have would be to get that initial wash on, to get some colour on the paper. And I used to say, just get the old thing covered as quick as possible. Get the old paper covered, and that will Control Z to delete. That will reduce that fear that you may have. I want to keep these colours fairly light at the minute. They can be. Oops! I press on too hard with this brush. And I do like the sort of limey colours. The harder the pressure, the wider the spread of the paint, and if you put on very thin strokes, you get sort of a more detailed, thicker application of paint, which is quite interesting. Let's go for a nice sort of grade off colour for the roof. I'm sort of changing the colour, mixing it up a little bit. That's it. I can just cut into that with the eraser. I'll just flip my stylus again. Still put a little bit of detail in there. This doesn't work. The filter layers, sorry, the masking layers that I'm using on this don't work quite the same as the ones in Rebelle, because you can actually see what you're painting on. You can have like a coloured mask that you can see what you're painting on a white paper. Well, with this method, you really kind of need to get your base colours down first and then put your mask in. And you could just use an eraser and lift the colour out, but the beautiful thing about using a mask is it's non-destructive, so you can revert back to your colour again by just removing your mask, and also you can go back to the layer that's masked and add more colour while still keeping the mask in place. Just sort of got to remember that watercolour is a translucent medium, so that means it will, whatever you put on the top of your initial colour, it will glow through. It will let that initial colour shine through. That's a little bit bright, perhaps. And I kind of like not going right to the edges, leaving a little bit of white all the way around the scene. And in this template thing, you can create new layers as well, so that's cool. Right, but I'm going to kind of try and work, because I'm using this masking layer, I'm going to work as much as I can using this one layer to build up layers of paint. So let's add this masking layer. So I right click where it says paint here, and then it says add, so I click on add and add transparency mask. There we go. So I've got my transparency mask, and the nice thing about this is I can use a paintbrush, because if I use an eraser I will get like a really sharp edge. If I use this, say I want to lift out the colour of that tree, it's really sharp when I zoom in. Actually, that was a bad example because that works quite well, so I might leave that. But I can flick a few twigs in here. Actually, I quite like this this eraser now. I said that I wasn't going to use it, and now I'm thinking I am. But you can also use a brush, so I can sort of paint. It's building up quite slow, that. To get more of a brush effect. Try this. Let's just undelete this. Take that one out. So much more subtle effect. In fact, you know what? I'm quite liking the eraser. I've tried this earlier, and we got the opacity at full, so that should be all right. Size a bit. Maybe too small. Yeah, so in actual fact, I think I'm going to go back to the eraser. I was getting more success with that. With my demo, you could use a pencil as well, I suppose. You'll get a softer effect, but I think I like the eraser just for now. And then I may use the whoops, I may use some brushes later. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start going in and sharpening up and putting in little bits of detail. I think I want it. Just sort of tidying up this drawing. And the odd leaf. And some of these flowers. Sorry for the noise. I've got the patio door open. It's absolutely baking in here, and somebody's doing something outside. Sounds like they've got an old-fashioned roller, and the roller in the lawn nice and flat. Feels very English. Putting in a few leaves and things. So this is all the masking layer. And you might be thinking, why don't you just use the eraser to lift this colour out? But the beauty is, if I choose paintbrush and go back to my layer above the transparency and choose a colour, maybe a darker blue, and I can add that colour. Look, let's really exaggerate it, and that those highlights don't get painted over, or so my mask layer doesn't get painted over. Wants to be lighter actually, so let's just do a Control Z on that. I don't know how far I can go back. Can I take that one out? Maybe not. Like that. So that's the value of using the transparency mask. Go back to the eraser again. And put some of these little flowers in. Bigger ones in the foreground. So I'll give it the, oops, change to a brush, go back to the eraser. Picking them out like that. Some over here too. And it's not about painting neat little flowers, not in my world anyway. You know, the quality of Krita never ceases to amaze me, that it's all free. You know, you can just get this app. It doesn't cost anything. Few smaller ones here, which is pretty much just a couple of dots. So I've got in the foreground, got a bit more detail in the flowers. In the background, not so much. So there we go. I'm going to go back to my paint layer now, and I'm still going to use, I think I'm going to stick with this brush for a little bit longer. Just add a few more bits of detail. So I'm thinking over on this left hand side, let's go for sort of a blue greeny colour. We need a bit darker colour there, just to lift those flowers out a bit. So it gives you a lot of control, lots of control. And we could put some yellow here. Almost change the brush, I think. Let's go with this basic lines water pattern and just put in a few dots. For that. Very subtle, but you know, not quite so subtle over here. So we're still on one layer, which is unusual for me. I'm usually, when I'm doing watercolor, I usually swap about, create far more layers with watercolor. But with this technique, you really kind of need to, if you're making use of the transparency mask, you've got to sort of stick with that layer and just keep overlaying your colors. Back to the spread wide area brush again. Just a little brush in here. And I like this kind of soft, the soft colour merging into one another. That's really like watercolour. I like that. And if I do that and I think, right, okay, let's go to my transparency mask and go to the eraser again and just paint this out, then it means I can control the colour behind it again. Really nice technique. So we've got kind of a combination of painting and drawing together going off here. I can come back to the this big moppy type brush. I'm just looking at the photo all the time, thinking, right, what colour shall we put in there? Just a little darker green, and now I can go over that mask look, and it doesn't matter. Can really mix it up a bit. And I can do the same with this one here, so I can keep that sort of dark there and dark around here. I've already painted that doorway in, so that's cool. I know I've got that tree going off, so it's nice. Back to my transparent mask again. Use the eraser. Yeah, liking it. I am liking this. I'm enjoying this. Let's work on this tree up here. So back to my big moppy brush. Paint, sketch here. You don't need these this textured paper with all of these layers. This will work without that, with just sort of a basic basic set of layers. And I like that yellow. It really makes that tree look like that's caught the light, so it's exaggerated compared to the photo, but I'm going to keep that in, I think. Maybe bring that in here a little bit. Do you need a little bit more sort of darker green? Just there. Back to the yellow again. Right, let's think about, use the square brush now. So a flat K tilt, what does that do? I'm thinking about these shutters on the windows. I wonder if I can get rid of all of those. I like the once I discovered the brush, how to use the brush, I'm just going to take the eraser. I just use, oops, putting them in, you know, horizontal strokes like that. Notice I'm sort of got a colour that's similar to, I might make it a little bit more blue. Colour similar to the foliage. I think that's quite important. It just sort of balances everything out nicely. For that. Go quite a bit darker, just a bit of a shadow in there. There too. Like it. And we're going for a sandy colour. I might just stick with this brush just for a second. Now you see, I try and paint over that. I can't because there's a mask there. So if I want to put colour on there, I do need to. Oh, we've got this paint here. What? I'm going to create a new layer here. By I think it's. Well, that's the copy. That's not what I wanted to do. This is how well I know Krita. Click on the plus, create a new layer, and then I can. You can't really see because the colours. No, let's just make the colour a bit darker so you can actually see that. What I want to do though is just put the colour on this side. I'm trying to keep the left side in the sun to match this tree up here. So keep the shadows on the right. That's nice. Just we're going to warm this up a little bit. And so I'm changing the door slightly. I need to go back to this transparent mask with just it just dawned on me why that painting thing didn't work. You know, when I was choosing brushes to do the erasing and it wasn't working, I forgot up at the top left or near in the middle we've got this eraser brush, and I think that will make there, look, so I can use an eraser that's more like a brush, so I can widen that up a little bit. But I'm going to go back to the eraser. So that's why that wasn't working. I'd forgotten about that. Sorry, that makes me look like a complete imbecile. Still just tidying things up a little bit. back to my flat brush that I was using, the Flat C Decay Tilt. Going onto my new layer, because I'm now painting over I could add a mask layer to this as well. You could have multiple mask layers if you want. I particularly want that. Right, I'm going to put on this layer, I'm going to put the shadow in, I think. The brush a bit bigger using the square bracket keys. Need to change the brush. Let's go, let's try the water sea spread pattern. Shrink the brush size a bit. No, that's not working. What's this one? Basic round grunge, what does that do? Yeah, that's nice. Just undo all of this so I can do it again. Take the brush size down. And just make it a bit darker colour. Might be too much. Yeah, it is too much. So I'm going to my transparency layer again, using the eraser. I'm going to put a line in here, and that's where the light is catching the top of the gutter in. It's quite important. And then to the paint layer above it, I'm going to use this grunge. That's it. It's J Water Sea Basic Round Grunge, and I'm going to put in the sort of corrugated effect to the tiles. And because I'm painting on the layer above the mask, the colour just doesn't get displayed under the mask bit. The only problem with this is, of course, is if you make a mistake, you're kind of stuck with it. I'm going back to this lovely big spread wide area brush. Put a little bit of this sort of mossy colour. Lighter than that. use the masking layer again, my eraser, and take out the window. Same here. Yeah. I don't want to put much more colour on top of the roof because that's going to be catching the light. I do see a lot of green under in this canopy area. Should probably think about that as well. And that roof, you know, I can just leave it like all sort of fuzzy like that. That's quite nice, I think. I can go into this layer that I created, this one here. I'm just going to put on that. I was going to put no mask, but I'm not going to because I might put a mask on it in a bit. But I'm just going to go for this sort of reddy colour. Choose round fringe. That looks interesting. What's that? Oh, yeah, that might be quite nice. This requires light strokes, I think. Oh, and you get that nice fringe of colour around it. That's, you press on. I like that. That's very watercolour. Well done, Ramon. Nice one. With this brush, if you do different strokes, you get an edge look. But if you keep your pressure on, look, you can fill it in and then just have this fringe around the edge. I'm just going to use the eraser just to lift this out rather than a mask. That red there, just take that out and put that in again actually. Fringe brush, isn't it? It should come right down to there. And then I can go with a deeper red. Change the brush size. Oops, wrong brush. Change the brush size. Darker colour in there. Need to go into this mask down here. Just take this out. And I can just pop colour in there like that. I think I'm going to do the same here and here as well. So back to my transparency mask, eraser, just take that out of there like that. Then I can go back to the sketch above it. I've got no colour in there. Oh, it's because I've masked it out. Of course I'm not going to get any colour in there. What am I thinking? So then I can add that, and then I can go in with a darker colour. And by lifting the brush up, I can, well, first of all, keeping the brush down, I can get a flat wash on and lift it up again. I can start adding shadows. A bit darker. A bit purple, perhaps. Go. Tidy up the edge a little bit. So it's coming. It's nice and slow. Nice and slow. I want to come back to this my transparency layer masked. I'm going to just put in there mask layer, just so I can see very quickly which is the one I've got the mask on. I want a green colour, and I sort of want it over. I'm going to need to create a new layer because I want the colours to shine through the. I don't want to lose the blue by over painting it. See what I mean? I want to sort of build this up a little bit now. Take the eraser and lift that out if I want. There we go. I also want to use this little round fringe brush, and while I'm at it, just a few leaves in there. And even put a little wash over a yellow wash over these absolute white ones. Changing to the liner wet. Interesting, it's sort of looking out some of the colour of those. Oh, Looking for a nice brush that will put me just a mark on the paper. Because they all look a little bit false, don't they? They just look a little bit contrived. Wood sea spread. I think that'll do. I don't want to go crazy with that. I want to get some more shadows. I quite like this brush. The basic round fringe 2. Go for some blues. I think I need to like really get some tonal contrast in. It looks a little bit flat. I could do that with a shadow layer, I guess. Let's go in with a shadow layer. Let's go to the top and create a new layer. Let's set the blend mode to multiply and start putting some shadows in with a pretty big brush. So I'm still using this cool. Why isn't it telling me? Oh, the basic round fringe 2. Oh, I've got a colour picker selected. Why is that going off? Oh, that's better. New layer. And basically what I'm going to do, I want to get pretty radical. Look at that straight away. I'm touching a key somewhere that's I think it's the P. Yeah, I'm trying to touch the square brackets and I'm not looking at the keyboard and I'm pressing the P key and that brings up the thinking about the light. Sort of changed the light direction a bit, haven't I? I'm going to go back in and tidy this all up once I've sort of got in where I think I need. Don't forget, if you keep your pressure on the brush, you don't get an hard edge. It just stays that nice and light. I think I'll add a layer mask for this layer as well. Keep that sort of light there like that. Big brush up here. Damn, are these blending brushes? Not so much. These are watercolour pattern textures. Oh, that's nice. I can soften that edge off a bit. Oh, I like that. That's nice. So this is the water pattern, so water C water pattern brush. So I can have hard edges if I want, and then I can have soft edges. It's better. I just felt like we really needed some dark tones in this. By softening that bottom edge, look. The difference between this and Rebel is you've got, it's harder, it's longer to do this. You haven't got those sort of nice subtle effects that the engine does for you. You have to create them yourself, but you've got total control. Keep touching the button on the side of me stylus. You have got total control, which you don't have. Right. Well, I was going to put a masking layer on this, but I don't think I need to. Now I can just sort of. You know what? No, I will. Let's create a masking layer. So right click on this, add transparency mask, use my eraser. Why is that sort of flipped over? I think it's because I've been turning these around. That's better. And then I can start painting in some more leaves. That's better. I'm much happier with that. So I'm doing a transparency mask and we're revealing the colour underneath, which is exactly what I wanted. And I can bring this back again. I don't have to do it on every single mark, so some will look like they're behind others. Some of these little marks. So it's cool to use multiple masks. And I can try and just sketch in some of the detail of this door arch. Okay. I wanted to tidy this up as well. Oh. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. I'm going to choose this. Oh, go away. Choose this water round fringe brush again. Go to the layer above it. Choose some more deeper red. I'm glad and don't forget we're on a multiply layer. So I can really pop some colour on this if I want. I need to just take the size of the brush down, I think. And go to the layer below it, because I've now got a transparent layer, and I can just tidy this all up, not quite nicely. And I want orange just there. So I'm being quite bold now with these with this masking, with this multiply layer. Thinking about the windows and just sort of making marks in there. And I do like it because I can, oops, got to be careful that I don't take out something else on that. I probably should be creating a few more layers. Just pop a little window in there. It's amazing, isn't it, how it comes together. You go from something that you're thinking, oh, he's never going to get this right. He's never going to pull this together. Never in a million years. And then it starts to come. So I'm looking at shadows now. I'm just painting shadows in. I've got to remember that I've got a masking layer on there as well. Let's put a huge colour in. Take that right down. To the masking layer, my transparent mask, and now I can sort of put these glazing bars in there as well if I want. Don't worry about them being nice and straight or anything like that. We want them to look painterly. A word. Like that. Oops. There. Windows are looking quite nice. I can use that same colour. Go back to the paint layer. Brush. Size wise, we're about the right size. And just pop that in there like that. Go to the transparent layer. Use the eraser. Got that wrong. Can't believe I'm taking so much time to get the actual same number of window panes. I think that blue layer needs to be painted on here as well, like that. I could merge these layers down, I suppose, blend them down. Let's change the colour. Go for sort of a green. Just thinking maybe we can. What layer are we on? We're on the. Oh, this layer we want to be on. Oops. Press the P key again. I suppose if I press the brush key. Well, I want some colour in. Some nice bright sort of spots of colour. I think I need to create a new layer then. So add a new layer, and this time set the blend mode to screen. Let's try screen. No, that ain't gonna. That's not what I'm looking for. Just make a little more, and then I can change the mode. Overlay. No. Add might be add. Lighten. Lighten works quite well. That's nice. Now I'm going for lighten. And I could just pop these little bits of red in there. Like that. Got some blue. Put some blue in. Some yellow. And just pop a little bit yellow. Center some of these flowers, because otherwise they're just going to look like it's masking. They've been masked out. And a pale blue might go to the multiply layer below that. I'm just gonna double click on that and put add. This one I'm going to put multiply, just so I can, not get them mixed up. I want a really kind of blue, pale blue. Yeah, that kind of colour. Just zoom in a bit so we can see what I'm doing. Just add a little bit of this to some of these flowers. I'm not blocking them all out, just sort of trying to paint a bit of shadow underneath them maybe. There we go. Maybe make a bigger brush. Go back here. Put some of this on. Yeah, I think I still need to work on these a little bit more. Let's try the line. What's that gonna look like? Well, for a start, I've got a really light colour. Too much. Just sort of. Maybe if we go back to the original layer, and if that's the brush, what's this one? Spread pattern. Nope, that's not working for me. Well, that's nice. This is the water sea spread brush. Just trying to add some texture into this foreground, you see. Light pressure, and if you want it to sort of disappear, heavier pressure. It's cool, I like that. Oops. Oh. Special case, just wandering up the garden. I think he's working outside today because it's just so hot, and we've got this new patio set. It's lovely to sit out, although to be honest, yesterday too hot for me, man. And I need something here, don't I? And I'm on that original layer, so got the masking thing going off. Quite like that colour. I might put some of this into these trees here. Go to the layer above it. It'll sort of paint out some of those white marks. Put a few of them back. I think we're getting to the end, really. Don't see if I want to do much else to this. I could create one more layer and just have this as a normal layer, opaque, maybe with a pencil, so like a watercolor pencil, and just add a few bits of detail. Especially around this door thing going off here. A bit of detail there. It's a purple colour. Let's try that doorway a bit. I like the fact that we've got it sort of blurred away on that shutter in there. I'm just going to put a little bit of detail like that. Then I'll run this by Special K in a bit, see what she thinks. Put a few darker branches in. Bit more shadow work under that lintel. Maybe I like that a bit. Do I bring a few of these leaves in up here? Maybe a few more flowers actually. Dotted in. And yeah, let's do it. Yeah, that's all right, I think. It's amazing where, you know, something takes you. You start off, I didn't really think I was going to use any pencil work in this, but I do think it kind of works a little bit. Just adds that little bit of detail. And I can go sort of dark blue, put some in sort of shadows. Well, the lighter colour. Few lines. Let's just take them out. Too many now. That's it. I think I've finished. I'm just going to sign this. And there we have it. Watercolour, delicate little watercolour in Krita. Making extensive use of the transparency mask just to produce this nice soft watercolour. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Got lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them all with you. So don't forget everybody, stay safe, stay sane, keep painting, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.